Welcome to part 36 of the day of the Lord is a day of darkness. And I'm just going to throw this little clip in for just a moment because it has to do with persecution. And this is in America, mind you. This is stuff going on in America. This is just one of many incidents that is starting to unfold here in the U.S. already. And yes, it's close to home. South Bend, Indiana, and different areas has already been doing things like this, actually.
What is the problem?
You didn't give him any warning. You just grabbed the mic. This is the same one that we had. Yeah, that was in there. It was not out there. What are you doing? You guys have been warned.
They say we can they say we can speak out here on the sidewalk freely.
You can speak, but there's no amplifier.
Nobody told us that. Well, how come there's no amplification? Hey, you guys are acting like thugs, man. You're acting like straight up thugs.
Hey, you're taking away my phone.
He has every right to be out here engaging in speech. He has every right to be out here engaging in speech. There's cars driving by with their radios playing, that's amplified sound. People are standing out here with radios, that's amplified sound. The ordinance has to do with a decibel gauge.
Most of the children there were probably between the ages, if I were to take a guess, like 5 to 12.
5 to 12 years of age. And the police officers stood there and watched and did nothing.
Correct.
Now, how many of you traveled from Waukesha, Wisconsin, a suburb of Milwaukee, over to Whitewater? How many of you in your group traveled over there? And are they also teenagers?
Yeah, a lot of the people that came over, they were teenagers, friends of mine. Not all of them live in Waukesha, but we live in different areas, and we've gone to different ministry events like this before. There were probably, I'd say, between 100, well over 100 protesters there that day. Many different churches were coming out, like different members from different churches, and so people I hadn't met before. But I'd probably say over 100 protesters, specifically for my group. I'd say probably 30 plus people.
Okay. Now tell me how it went that day. Were you at some point over on the other side of those barriers?
Yeah, so because it was a public park, even though they had a permit for it, it was a public event, it was like a public picnic, we were allowed to be there as long as we weren't disrupting the event, so we could walk around. And so most of our people were walking around taking videos to get on footage what the drag queens were doing to the children. And what had happened earlier, so you see in the video where the officer is like, oh, this is the same speaker as before,
yes,
kind of making it seem as if we had received a warning. That's not actually the case. The reason why he was referring to that was because we had the speaker, we weren't using the speaker, but we just had the speaker with us. We were carrying it as we were behind that fenced-in area. And so one of the officers came to us and said, hey, look, they have a permit for this area, for this fenced-in area, so you can't have it inside the fence. Take it outside the fence. So that's what we did. We didn't even use it at that time because, it wasn't the right timing at that time. Hours later, I go and get the speaker, and I start speaking the Bible on a public sidewalk outside of the fence, completely outside of the fence, completely outside of their private area that they had for the park. And so the officer never gave us a single warning. That was actually our first time using the amplification all day. And not once did they give us a warning, a citation, anything like that. As you see in the video, he just comes over without even saying anything to me, rips the mic from my hand, and then arrests me.
And what did they charge you with?
They charged me for amplification without a permit and resisting arrest.
Resisting arrest. How were you resisting arrest? I didn't see that in the video.
Yeah, I asked the officer who handcuffs me as he was taking me away, and he said that my muscles tensed up.
Because his muscles tensed up.
ED is part.
They charged him with resisting arrest. That is some of the dumbest stuff I've ever heard in my days. Now, if you think they're going to be fair to you, Christian people, you are badly mistaken. They are fair to their own kind. If you were theirs, they would love you. If you are not theirs, they're going to hate you. Ministers, remember that. No need to cut corners on the gospel because you're afraid of offending someone. There is no need to cut corners on the gospel and preaching the gospel. All that's going to do is get you in trouble with the Lord. He's taking note of every time you buck up against the Word of God. And don't preach the full gospel. He's taking note of every time you try to excuse why you don't need to preach the full gospel. And you've been warned. Repeatedly. He's done with that. You'll be getting his answer soon. Now, I suggest that if a heart attack or something should meet your door, that you don't reply in kind to the Lord if you survive it. The next shot, you might not be so blessed to wake up after. When the Lord speaks to you and gives you warning to get back to the full gospel, that's what you're supposed to be doing. I suggest you do that without having to be told again. Because they're going to hate you regardless. You're not going to avoid what is written in the Word of God. You're not above Jesus. Stop acting like that you are. Because that's exactly what you're acting like when you think, oh, well, I can't preach that gospel because they'll get offended. And if they get offended, then they won't like me. And I'm supposed to be liked because I'm the minister. No, you're not supposed to be liked. Jesus wasn't. And we won't be either. We won't be either. And it's time that you all accept that fact. I'm going to grab the next footage. Now, let's get into this report of the news right quick. Those of you that are Trumpomites, pay attention. You might like this. And no, I'm not saying that this person here, he talks about Trump quite often. Not saying that this is about Trump, but he does talk about Trump a lot. He supports him. But like I said earlier, a vote for Trump is a vote for peace. If you want peace, vote for Trump. If you want peace and safety, vote for Trump. Now, I am not a politician, mind you, and I'm not political whatsoever. I, however, will be, if I'm here and voting, if I vote, I will be writing in Jesus as my candidate of choice. But of course, you all must do what you must do if I am here for the election. But I am certainly telling you, get out and vote if you're here. Keep thinking that your vote makes a difference. Keep living that delusion. You could vote for Hassenpfeffer and it's not going to make one difference. Trump will be back in office. So if you want the delusion that your vote counted, vote for Trump. Let's get into this footage.
James Kaufman, World News Report today. Today is August 19th, 2023, noon Central here in the U.S. God bless you and yours no matter where you are in the world. Please subscribe, give us a thumbs up, ring that bell for critical future updates.
I apologize if there's any bad language in this. I have watched a few seconds of it. Sometimes this one here is prone to sometimes say bad words. So I do apologize if he does, but I don't think he does that I can recall.
League Baseball launches biometric face scans to identify fans. This is happening at an increasing number of ballparks. The Philadelphia Phillies joining the New York Mets and the Cleveland Guardians, and many more, if not all parks, are on their way to biometric face scans. Earlier this week, I posted an article giving a comprehensive look at what
Biometric face scans. All parks are now on their way to doing that. So in other words, to get into the ballparks, you have to allow them to scan your face. Biometric digital face scan. This is part of the not buying, not selling. Because if you come up on their records as a troublemaker or anything, they won't let you into these venues. You won't be able to buy or sell. You won't be able to do anything. This is part of the lockout system. This is part of the beast system. Part of the mark. Part of the mark of the beast right here.
life will be like after the globalists succeed in getting all of humanity outfitted with digital IDs. I laid out the progression of how it will start out as completely voluntary, with only the most techno-hip young people signing up to have their eyeballs and faces scanned at the point of entry into various modes of society, like airplanes, buses, trains, concerts, and sports stadiums. Little by little, the pressure will build for everyone to join the new means of universal digital identification, with governments and corporations switching in their approach from the carrot to the stick. They promised they would never be mandatory until they were. Today, there's an article at Biometric Update that provides an example of how this process is already in play. The headline reads, Philadelphia Phillies lead off facial recognition access pilot for Big League Baseball. In the below excerpt from the article, note that the pilot program, based on identifying everyone by their facial scan, will be expanded next season to include most, if not all, Major League Baseball parks. This is the beginning of the process where nobody will be allowed to enter such venues without a biometric digital ID. The article states the Philadelphia Phillies of Major League Baseball are launching ticketless stadium entry with facial recognition. Fans can register to use the service at dedicated lanes by submitting a selfie through the Major League Baseball ballpark app. The image...
Wow, we live in a world of selfies. Digital facial scans, digital IDs, digital. Everything's gonna go digital. Then they're gonna convince you that they can upload you to the cloud, your memories and all that stuff, and that you'll live forever as a digital person. No, you won't. You'll burn forever. You won't live forever. Don't worship the beast. See you in the next part.